complete the square on this expression. They've told us that it's got a common factor of 2, so remember we ignore this 23, bring the common factor of 2 out. We then half this number and subtract that squared. This 2 affects both things inside the bracket, so it's 2x minus 3 squared minus 18, and then simplify. Okay, so why have they then connected this one? Well, we know that vertical stretches are indicated by the number 2. Horizontal translations are always the opposite value of this, so that would be 3. And vertical translations is given by the number stuck on the end, which is 5. Inverse functions, so we would say y equals 2e to the 3x, 2e to the 3y. Our unknown is in our power. Okay, so we need to take logs of both sides, but this 2 needs to move first. So we're going to move that to the other side. And then we would take natural logs because of the base e. And rules of indices means the power, rules of logs means the power can come in front. And log base e is equal to 1, so that goes. Now we need to divide by 3, so it's a meter if we write something. Okay, if we're looking at the domain that talks about the x values, which means that ln of x minus 2 has to be greater than or equal to 0, because we cannot take the square root of a negative number, and that's the expression in the square root. Now, to take log of a value, that value has to be greater than 1, because you cannot take log 0 and you can take log of a negative number, so x minus 2 has to be greater than or equal to 1, so x is greater than or equal to 3. Okay, so inverse functions, it's y equals x plus 1, exchange the x and y, take the square root first, so it's x squared, and subtract 1 from both sides. Okay, so that is f minus 1 of x. Now they're talking about the domain of that inverse function. Now the domain of an inverse function, okay, so B, the domain of the inverse function is equal to the range of the original function. So we need to determine what the range of the original function was. Well, if they've said that x has to be greater than or equal to negative 1, then that means that the range would be positive. Okay, so the range of fx would be x is greater than 0, which means, sorry, y is greater than 0, which means that the domain of the inverse function is x is greater than 0. Okay, this we have a parabola. We are given this format of it. That tells us that this value here must be 7. This value here must be negative 1 from these two features here. So the coordinate of A would be negative 1, 0. The coordinate of C would be 7, 0. B indicates the maximum point, the vertex, which we know is half of the distance between these two values. This is 8 units across. It's 4 units away from either of them, so that gives you a value of x equals 3. Okay, so the vertex is when x equals 3. Substitute that into the equation up above to find out what y is. So 16, so it's the coordinate 3. Oops. Three, 16. Okay, next one. If it has exactly one solution, it means that the discriminant, or b squared minus 4ac, has to be equal to 0. So we need to identify the discriminants. So a is k, b is 3, and c is 1. So 3 squared minus 4 times k times 1 has to be equal to 0. And that's k, so it's very neat. So 9 equals 4k. Okay.